Next, we're joined by Judge Greg Guidry. He is running for the Supreme Court. He's on the Court of Appeals now, and he joins us here at the Castine Center. Well, you're pressing the flesh and trying to get people excited about, of all things, the Supreme Court race.
That's right, Ken. We're 7 weeks away from the election now, and although we've been campaigning for a long time, this is now the period where people really begin to focus on the race, and they're really beginning to understand the importance of this Supreme Court race.
Well, I've been searching for issues, which is not easy because the hot-button issues like abortion or gun control, these are things that you're not supposed to bring up in a judge's race. So I may have found an issue. There's talk that the First Circuit Court of Appeals, which includes so much of the state, might be shortened with the workload that it has, and maybe St. Tammany and Washington would be merged in with Jefferson Parish on their Court of Appeals, on which you sit now. So finally, something I can actually ask you about. What do you think? I mean, obviously the First Circuit's going to have to lose somewhere, right?
That's correct. Now, the First Circuit is a very large district circuit court, and it sprawls across the Florida parishes and down through the Baton Rouge area into Acadiana. So in some ways it would make sense for St. Tammany and Washington parishes to be joined with Jefferson, because there's so much back and forth between the two areas. So many people from Jefferson have moved across to the North Shore, and so many people from the North Shore work in Jefferson. So culturally that would make quite a bit of sense.
I want to ask you this question. I have no idea how this balloon is going to be received here on the North Shore. If there was a lot of opposition to it, would you say then it would be something to back off? Or I don't know if people would care that much. It's one of those esoteric sounding issues. But what do you think? Would public opinion have any play at all?
Well, it's a good question. I don't know how that would be received by the people living in the parish and also by the attorneys. It would certainly affect the attorneys quite a bit, because rather than having their cases appealed from this district to the First Circuit, which is in Baton Rouge, they would be appealed to the Fifth Circuit, which is in Gretna. So that would be a significant difference to the attorneys, and certainly they would have their opinions about that. Those opinions certainly would be expressed and received, and probably would factor into whatever decision is ultimately made. I believe what you're hearing now is or ideas that are being floated. I don't believe that any firm decisions have been made, and they would not be made without a lot of input from the people that are affected.
Would another alternative be to put Lafourche and Terrebonne perhaps in with Jefferson?
There are a number of ways that can be done, that the districts can be affected. And one thing people should realize, in 2010 there'll be a new census, a new United States Census, which will cause many of our districts to be looked at and perhaps be redrawn. So that may cause some more effort in that regard at a later point.
Well, you're in a race now in which one of the other candidates is saying that he's one tough judge. I have to wonder, is toughness a characteristic of a Supreme Court justice?
Not toughness for the sake of being tough. What people are looking for, Ken, are judges who are conservative, judges who strictly apply the law, judges who are fair and honest, and when the case is appropriate in a criminal case, they're looking for someone who will impose an appropriate sentence. And obviously a judge must make his decision based upon the facts of the case, the crime that was committed, and of course that would not be done until a person has been adjudicated guilty. So people are looking for judges who are not tough for the sake of being tough, but give sentences that fit the crime. I believe that's the most important thing.
What are you hearing here tonight, for example?
What I hear here is really what I hear in Jefferson and Washington and Tangipahoa. People want a fair, honest court system. They want to know that when they go to court, that they will be heard in an even-handed manner, and the decision of the judge or the jury will be based on the facts and the law applicable to that case. They don't want judges who legislate from the bench. They don't want judges who are activist judges. They don't want judges who will replace their own opinions for the opinions of the legislature or the jury. Those are all things that I feel very strongly about. That's why I believe that my background as a federal prosecutor and my judicial philosophy and temperament fit very well with what the voters here in St. Tammany, Washington, Tangipahoa, Jefferson, St. Helena are really looking for.
What else do you want to tell us?
Ken, I would urge everyone in this Supreme Court district to really take a good hard look at the candidates who are running, look at our records from top to bottom, look at our experience, because the jobs that people have really do say a lot about them, and your experience says a lot about you. So it's a very important race. It's going to affect our state for many decades, and I would love for people to really investigate the race and understand the candidates in order to make the best decision that they can make. It's an important decision.
Well, thanks again. He's Judge Greg Guidry joining us here at the Castine Center in Mandeville.